Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome if you're new. Today I will be doing a video giving you a rundown of all the planners and journals I used in 2023, what stuck and what didn't. So let's hop right into it. So starting off with my journals, I get a Hobonichi every year, all except for this year, but I'll get to that in the next video. And I use this as a memory keeper. So this is the journal that I would hope to pass down to my children. This is not like a Dear Diary venting type of journal. It's more of a memory keeper. So just like life events, things that happened, mostly things pertaining to the family and yeah, things like that. What I don't like about this or how I used this year was that I completely abandoned the yearly view, the monthly view, and the weekly views. So all of these are blank, all except for a few pages of the weekly view, which I would prefer if I can use it. If you haven't seen any of my older videos, it's usually pretty minimal. I will journal based on the timeline as written over here. There's a timeline that goes down here and I'll write like things that happen pertaining to the time. And it's just really fun to look back on like if I was really busy that week or if we did more family time. But as you can see, I pretty much didn't fill it out in 2023, which kind of bummed me out a little bit, but I'm hoping to do better for 2024 because I really enjoy looking back on the journal entries and the pages pertaining to the timeline of the date. It's just something fun I like to look back on. Also, how I used to use the monthly view is I would kind of do like a daily highlight. For 2022, I would put a character sticker and I would do some journaling. Hang on, let me grab my old one. This is from 2021 and 2022. And as you can see here, I would put character stickers and just do a little blurb and journal a little bit about that day. And I really like using it this way. I just fell off of it. I guess it's just one of those years that life was just crazy and I wasn't able to do it as much as I would like. As you can see here in 2022, I also fell off of it quite a bit. I started it off pretty strong in the beginning of the year and then I kind of fell off of it. So I just completely abandoned that concept for 2023, which was really unfortunate. But yeah, I hope to continue that on for next year, but I will let you all know what I will be using for next year in my next video. For the daily pages, it's more like I'll put some photos, maybe I'll print out some photos or I'll write like a quick blurb or do some journaling about the day. And again, I wasn't as consistent in here as I would have liked compared to the previous years. But again, it was just the season of life I was in. So yeah, that's how I used my Hobonichi cousin. So I'm really hoping to have kind of a version of this for next year. Next is my wellness journal. And this is also something, this is the Hobonichi Weeks, by the way. And this is in the Mega, and this is the hardcover. How I used this in 2023 was I used the monthly view kind of like a mood tracker. So I track my mood here. I'll write happy, meh, or blah, frustrated, depressed, or anxious, and I will kind of graph it out here. And then I will write maybe a sentence or a little blurb about why I was feeling that way for that day. But again, I wasn't very consistent with this in here. As you can see, I don't have very many filled out monthly pages. And I mean, I really wish I kept up with it. It's just one of those years. So for the weekly view, how I used it was some weeks I would write like self-care on one side and then gratitude. This was mostly gratitude log, my gratitude log. And then some weeks I would write reflections over here. And then over here I started doing like how I was feeling physically and emotionally. Let's see. And then over here I started to get more detailed with my health tracking. So over here is just all gratitude. I would just journal about one thing or a few things I was grateful for that day. I started tracking my sleep. So I wrote how many hours I slept, my steps, how many steps I took, if I worked out and for how long, how I felt physically, because sometimes I would get aches and pains, and then whether or not I took any medication for my pains, and how I was feeling mentally. And I really enjoyed this. I love looking back at it. I loved that routine of just thinking and reflecting about my day, how much I slept, how many steps I took. I love that whole routine. But again, I wasn't consistent with this, and that really bums me out because, you know, I think for a lot of things, consistency is key, and this applies to journaling as well. But again, it wasn't a year of consistency for me. Oh, sorry. So all of these stickers and washi, most of them are from, these are from Paper Minty Studio. I think so. Yeah, these are all from Paper Minty Studio. The back pages here, I can't really share because these are my morning pages. So if you're familiar, morning pages are just stream of consciousness, writing thoughts. It doesn't have to be great. It's kind of like venting. First thing in the morning, ideally you write, I think it's 3 or 5 pages, something like that. But you just keep writing and things will come out. And it has helped me tremendously, but again, with consistency. So I really need to work on that for 2024. So that's most of my journaling. And this is my take a note planner. This is in the A5 size. I really enjoyed using this, but I felt that my system was very repetitive this year, and I was already having trouble keeping up with my journals. So I fell off of this mid-year as well because I couldn't keep up with all of it. It was just not doing it for me. So I'll give you guys a quick flip. I was using this kind of like a habit tracker and the monthly view. It's very self-explanatory. I would use this for appointments, events, and I would write tasks that I hope to do that week, pertaining to that week, to give myself a monthly overview. And I kind of color coordinated. So black would be events, arrangements, things like that. Red is appointments, things I want to draw my eye to, like I cannot miss this. And blue is more like, I don't want to say journaling, but kind of like, let's say if I wrote down an appointment and if it was canceled, I would write Y in blue. So that was my color coding. So yeah, I guess I fell off of it in, oh well, no, I kept jumping in and out of this. September, I think, was when I completely abandoned this. Yes, September. And I really love how I use this. I really love this planner. Actually, the only downside about this planner is that it didn't have enough it didn't have any daily pages for me to use. If you know me, I live for daily pages. So I really liked how I used this because I love seeing how I changed out the layouts from week to week. Some days it was just a running list with like micro journaling with stickers, which you all know my love for stickers. And some weeks it was just messy and I would have some doodles about the rain, the weather. I would highlight things. I would highlight my work time. I really like the look of a well-used planner. I really enjoy that. And I would practice some hand lettering in here. It was just really fun and really enjoyable to look back on. It was fun to use. And then I loved when I did reflections on the bottom here. I would write a little blurb about how I felt, things that went right or wrong. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. But then the reason why I stopped using this was because I felt like using my Sterling ink B6 Common Planner, which we'll get to in a minute. And I felt like everything was just, it was just too repetitive. I had to let go of one thing, and unfortunately I chose to let go of the take a note, which is really unfortunate. If there were daily pages, I probably would have stayed in here because I really enjoyed it so much, as you can see in all of these pretty full pages. Yeah, so I fell off of this, but again, this is a great planner. I really love it. Next, this is my Sterling Ink B6 Common Planner. This is the full year version. This is also my catch-all planner, so to say. I really wish I made better use of this. Well, used it at all. I didn't use it at all. The goal breakdown. I think this is just so useful if I was to use it. But again, I didn't. Unfortunately, I didn't use the quarterly overview. And for the monthly view, I used it kind of like how I use every monthly view for my planning system. I will just, kind of like future logging planning, if you want to say that, future planning. And then for the weekly view, I really enjoyed, for a period of time, I did color code it. So I would use green for work, and then black was household tasks, and blue was just micro journaling notes. Sometimes I would write down the weather up top. I like to highlight my work time. So one really interesting fact, but really weird thing about me is that I tend to fall off my weekly planning by like Friday. Let me show you. See? So this week, Friday to Sunday, there was nothing. Friday, there's nothing. Well, this whole week was empty. Yeah, so I have this really weird habit. I don't know why. How I used the daily pages I really enjoyed this as well. It was very well loved. I will show you guys a few sample pages. So sometimes I would draw a line down the middle. There's an indication in the middle, so it's easier for you to draw a line. And I will just plan and micro journal throughout the day, maybe write some notes, tip in some things. This freebie is from Sterling Ink that I printed off on vellum. And I really liked how I used this planner too. I think one conclusion I have about myself is that I'm definitely a one planner girl. I can't keep hopping around from planner to planner. It makes things really difficult for me. And it makes me not want to plan altogether because I have to keep up with so many. Yeah, I think maybe for journaling I could keep up with a little bit more planners, but not for planning. Well, I say that now and then watch me fall off of all my planners for 2024. But anyway, this is just a quick flip of how I've been using my daily pages. I really, really enjoyed this planner. I love how it chunked up. As you can see here, it's like really fluffy. And last but not least, so I know I said this was my catch-all, but I always need kind of like an everyday carry. Yeah, an everyday carry. And I know I already said I don't want to do all that repetitive stuff, but hear me out. This is just what works for my brain. This is my Hobonichiweeks Mega. This is the sneaker version, which means it's, take it out of the cover. It's not, what's it called? Hardcover, like this one. Yeah. And I just love how I used this. I love that it chunked up quite a bit, and this is my favorite way to use a planner where it's not, this is something I really don't think too much about. Like, I think having an everyday carry makes me fall back in love with planning all over again, because the way I use this is it's a hybrid of bullet journaling meets structured planner, if that makes sense. Let me just hop right into it. And again, I think what I'm going to do better next year is I'm going to utilize every page of the planner better, because like my other planners, I didn't utilize these pages at all, which is unfortunate because I think this, I mean, it's already here and structured. Why not use it, right? So I didn't hop into this planner till, let me see, till June. I didn't pick this up until June because I told myself that those two planners were enough for me to keep up with. So I'm not going to keep up with this. But I was just finding the Common Planner, even though it is a B6 and it is, how do you say, it's a good size for an everyday carry, but just for my needs for this year, I just felt like it was still a little bit too big. And I was just missing the Hobonichi cousin so much. So I pulled this out and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to use it. And I just loved how I used it. So the layout changes from week to week. Obviously, sometimes this is just the weekly overview is kind of just like, I'll put the task or the appointments onto the days here. So that way when I write down my weekly, that way when I write down my daily page, I can reference here. So yeah, sometimes I would just journal here. Like this was like a planner chat to myself, task list. Typically over here is just lists, like grocery list, task list, things I need to do. I would put stickers and washi here and there. And yeah, it's not at all glamorous. I have this little index here that I made. I don't index everything. I typically just index like by month. So maybe from page 10 to 36 is the month of June. In between there, if I have some ideas like YouTube ideas or real ideas, I will write, or I'll make a collection and then I will write down the page there for me to reference. So I love using my planner as if nobody's watching, Like I love putting in stickers as I need or as I want. I love highlighting things. I love doodling shapes because obviously that's all I can do. I love tipping things in. I love making mind maps. Everything about just like messy planning is just my favorite. I think one takeaway I got from this year is to definitely simplify things and plan like nobody is watching. I think it's kind of we share with everybody. Like we don't need to share online, but we do. And nobody says we need to, And I think going into 2024, I'm going to keep that in mind more because I think it was kind of stressing me out. Just the thought of needing to share my pages on Instagram, which is stupid because nobody says you have to share. But I think that's what I'm going to do for 2024. I'm just going to be journaling and planning for me. And that definitely helps with bringing me more joy in my practice. So yeah, I know this has been a crazy hectic video. Thank you all so much for watching. Definitely comment down below if you have any questions or if you have anything you would like to share about your 2023 planner lineup and what stuck and what didn't. If you are bringing any of the same planners into 2023, I'd love to know. Thank you so much for watching and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye guys.